We shouldn't forget Edinburgh.
No, Edinburgh isn't as strong as far as Orangeism is concerned as Glasgow, but there's a very powerful support for the Belfast demonstration from Edinburgh brethren who come over every year.
Temperance 680, as I said, marching with King's Hall Defenders, Lodge 1298.
We're getting a rear view there of yet another lodge that has adopted the tactic of fixing their banner to the car, which takes all the weight and all the stress off the backs of the brethren.
Bit of clever engineering.
We're picking up on the centre of our screen the portrait of William Bridget, a famous maker of orange regalia and orange banners. And in fact, in my collection of orange memorabilia, I have an old catalogue that was produced at the turn of the century showing many of the banner styles. And you'll note that many of these banners follow particular well-established and traditional patterns.
The banners themselves are made of silk, aren't they? But they have an edging of linen, which means that they can be affixed to a frame.
That's right. The silk is brought in sometimes from Switzerland, and it's a coarse silk, and it's given undercoats of paint, and then they start building up the design and the pattern over a period of time. The longer the banner has to dry as it's painted, the better for the strength and quality of the banner.
Now there's King Edward on a brown horse, this with Lodge 733, the King Edward VII Memorial Temperance Lodge. Just wondering, number of paradoxes in that I believe this lodge was founded in 1891, but that was in the Victorian era.
Yes, but lodges often are founded and then decided to change their name to take note of a particular historical event or character.
St Nicholas's Church, Temperance Lodge, founded in 1908, just moving out of our picture there. That's St Nicholas's Parish Church on the Lisburn Road in Belfast. Just coming into the picture again here. Are the banners hand-painted?
Yes, they are hand-painted, and I had the thrill a couple of years ago of being up in South Londonderry at the unfurling of an orange banner that had been painted by a young man of only 23 years of age. So the skills of the banner painter are being handed down through the generations.
He's a very young man. He's going to be a drum major in due course, is he? Fully fledged.
Yes, I wonder if he'll make it to Etonderry this morning.
That's right. It's a very long walk for a young man of his age.
Here's Oma Protestant Boys filling the screen, a very famous band from County Tyrone, shown great improvement in their musical skills and in their deportment. But sadly, as part of our history, they came across the soldiers who'd been bombed at Ballygawley and were called upon to give first aid at that terrible tragedy.
They probably saved a number of lives by their presence there. Do you think that the cost of running a band has had an effect on the types of bands in the profession? Maybe less military-style bands today?
No, in fact, there's been an increase in military-style uniforms. What we do notice in Belfast is the absence of both pipe bands and silver or brass bands. They seem to appear much more often in the rural demonstrations, and one of the reasons for the lack of pipe bands and the lack of silver bands is actually the distance of the walk and the weight of the instruments that have to be carried or blown. So that's disappointing for those who are pipe band enthusiasts or prefer the sound of the silver band.
Yes, important to have enough puff to reach the field, and if you're playing instruments most of the way there, that's a factor to be taken into consideration.
Well, I don't know why it is, because if you listen to the Gurkhas pipe band, they certainly move on at a great pace, but a lot of our Ulster pipe bands can be very slow when they're marching.
Quite a few skills involved in the work of the drum majors, and of course I always think when I look down streets like this that not so very long ago you'd have had tram wires or trolleybus wires overhead. You
and I are giving our age away, Walter, with that, but certainly they can show great skill with the mace at times, and they can get tremendous heights with the pole as they toss it up. Another view of this famous orange character, William Bridget, who made such a contribution to the development of regalia and to banner painting. It's said, Walter, that the Bridget family were so grateful to the Orange Lodge that named themselves after the late William Bridget that they made a special banner for them, which was slightly bigger than all the rest.
Pride of place for them.
We have another Scottish band coming into shot here. One of Scotland's famous accordion bands. In Belfast, most accordion bands are button accordion bands, but the Scottish accordion bands are invariably piano accordion bands, which are the piano accordion being that bit more expensive. There's another close-up of the traditional orange standard that has come down to us through history right from the 17th century. Another Scottish piano accordion band coming into view right now.
Well, if they're on time, it's the Queen Elizabeth band. Richview Church, total absence 1038, with Richview Presbyterian Church on Donegal Road, and King George VI on the reverse of that band. Here's a banner which has an orange arch. It's a Sandy Road True Blues. Now, where do the arches come from? What about that tradition?
Well, that's a tradition that many Orange people are actually quite confused and mystified by. Some people think that the arches are borrowed out of Freemasonry, because we know that there are a lot of Freemasons involved in the early days of Orangism. But the reality is that the orange arch comes from Orange in the south of France. Comes from the Arc de Triomphe there, which was in King William's back garden, as it were, in the old days. A very good shot of Sandy Row Orange Arch on that particular banner. So it's a tradition that reaches right back to Provence in southern France. But there's very few people know that, Walter.
Well, a little bit of education today then.